What is up, everyone? We are here with some Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and we're here to look at Cids' gear and equipment to kind of determine what his role is, at least in his current rollout release form. So remember, guys, if you do like what you see, if you'd like to drop that like, comment, or subscribe if you're not already, that'd be absolutely amazing. And let's get started. So I want to start first with just his gear. So his outfits. His standard based outfit, which is the Sky-Loving Pilot, provides him with a PDEF boost of +4 and a crit potency of +4. Nothing, nothing crazy, nothing amazing, as are all the base outfits. The boost to PDEF is nice, though. When we go to the exchange and we look at the gear exchange, all characters do have a base gear they can get in here. And for Cid, here it is. We have the Flying Captain, which also comes with a 3-star flare weapon. So the Flying Captain has a boost HP of +8 and a boost MDEF of +8. Not a bad setup if you don't have anything else for Cid. If you got an extra gear ticket laying around and you wanted to throw at one of these things, this is not a bad thing, providing, like I said, it gives him that boost 8, so he's going to get an extra 15% HP, and then that MDEF, he's getting 15% MDEF. That's not too bad, especially if all you have from right now is the base gear. Like I said, if you do have a spare gear voucher laying around, it may not be a bad pickup for him. The only other gear that he currently has right now is in his current Limit Break banner, and that is the Astronaut. The Astronaut gives him a buff-debuff extension for all allies of 5 points, which is going to give a 20% duration to all buff and debuffs to all allies in what they do. So that's a pretty, like I said, that's pretty decent, especially if your allies are going to be throwing some things out. If all you have is just 2 DPS with you, that's not going to be as useful. Cosmic Protection, Physical Magic Defense plus 20%, Physical Magic Attack plus 10%. That's, again, another solid ability. So if you are going to go for this banner, it's actually a pretty, it's a decent outfit. And one that easily replaces his base outfit. But again, like I said, if you've got that gear token and you don't plan on going for this and you want to use Cid, the pickup of the exchange one is not a bad choice either. Okay, next. As it stands right now, and where we're at with Cid's release and his current Limit Break banner, he has 10 weapons available to him, 11 if you count his ultimate weapon. So actually, let's quickly look at the ultimate weapon, and then we will go back to the... well, he also has his guild weapon too, but let's look at the ultimate weapon first. So the ultimate weapon which is right here, the ultimate spear, increases limit gauge 20% to a single ally. P attack is increased high to a single ally, and also does a magic heal 5% to a single ally. Oh, it's the limit gauge is to an ally. So it's not his own limit gauge. Whoever he casts on is going to get a 20% limit gauge. And again, it's a one-time use, 30-second charge. It's not terrible. It's gonna have its uses. But again, you're looking at... This is going to be raising their limit gauge, which I don't think affects summon gauge. I could be wrong in that. I've actually never really messed with that before to see does a limit gauge boost affect summon gauge, as I think Vincent's currently the only one who's had that ability so far, and it's only to himself. Our ability wise, it has this buff debuff of 20 points, so you're putting yourself at 80% breakpoint. This is just on himself, and then a boost MDEF of 20, so again you're at that 30% breakpoint. Let's go ahead and look at the guild weapon next, and then we'll move into the weapons that can be drawn for. So we have the mop, which looks more like a push broom, kind of. I mean, it's one of the more rectangular mops, but whatever. This is another one that offers a earth resist and PDEF all allies. I kind of feel like we've got a lot of earth resist weapons because the foam, well, it's lightning resist. Where's that? The orchard shovel is earth resist. There's another one in here that's also earth resist. Where's it at? Rocket punch is also earth resist. So it's kind of weird. But it's earth resist, PDEF all allies. Let's just look at this one at OB10. So you're going to get an earth resist of 31 points, which again, if you're main handing this, is going to give you 30% earth resist, but you're probably going to be having it in an offhand sub position. So you're really only going to be getting the 15 points, so 20% earth resist. Boost of PDEF to all allies. Again, let's cut that in half. You're going to be in here in this level 3 breakpoint of 20%. All allies physical defense plus 20%. It's not bad for the R ability stats. It does provide a cross sigil boost. 540% physical non-elemental damage to all enemies, and casts stop on all enemies for 5 seconds. Now again, if you just have this back at 5-star, it's only 3 seconds. So if you haven't noticed yet or haven't seen yet, Cids' thing, if you will, is providing the debuff of Stop. Stop prevents the enemy from taking any action, his ATB bar from filling, or anything like that for that time period. Now, the more you use Stop on that enemy, the less its effect is each time, assuming you are able to stop it multiple times. Most of his weapons are first cast only. He does have a limit break that is also first cast only. He has another limit break which will do it every single time, but again, every time that is cast, the effect lessens. So let's start first with his limit break weapon, the Rocket Lance. So the Rocket Lance is going to be doing magic non-elemental damage to a single enemy, providing Enfeeble. Enfeeble is a new debuff. What Enfeeble does is it basically causes any and all debuffs on the enemy to increase by 1 tier. Now, you're gonna see you'll see like I think it's a little like ring going around the icons. So you're not actually gonna see, like, for example, if you were to cast, well, for this ice resist down, it does mid to mid at first. You'll see the 2 triangle, or not triangle, but the 2 arrow to show mid, but there's going to be that like swirl going around the entire thing to indicate that it's actually technically up 1 more tier from that. So you're not actually going to see the 3 arrows, you'll just see the 2 with that little ring going around it. That's what the Enfeeble represents. But basically it increases everything up by 1 tier, so this would go from mid to high. Low would go to mid, high would go to very high. The ice resist down is also really nice on this thing because again it allows him to do something extra with this on top of the fact that it is adding the Enfeeble. Enfeeble lasts for 40 seconds, by the way, which is a decent thing for it. We're just going to look at the R abilities at full OB, OB10. We can look here that the Enfeeble has gone up to 70 seconds. Ice resist is high to high, so this will be a very high. Provides a boost attack to all allies. If you're main handing that's going to be 13% to each magic and physical for all allies. If you're off handing it, you're just down to 7%. And provides a buff debuff extension of 39 points. Again, if you're main handing, 150%. If you are not, 80%. Based on these 2, if you have this weapon, you're probably going to want to match it with the scimitar, which we'll look at here in a moment. And based off the fact this also has a cross sigil, I would probably main hand this and have the scimitar in the offhand, if I was lucky enough to have both. Scimitar is going to be one of the later ones that we get to. So let's go ahead and go to the next one, which is the Flare. This is one you can get with the Gear Exchange costume or token. So Flare is a Diamond Sigil, 3 ATB, 260% physical non-elemental damage, provides stop on its first use. If we fully max it, 420, still stop on its first use for 5 seconds. Our ability wise, boost HP to 46. So main handing, 70% more HP. If you're off handing, you're getting 30% more. Boost physical ability potency of 39 points, so that's at 60%. Or again, off handing, you're looking at 30%. P attack, M attack, P attack. I don't like the M attack on here, mainly just because this is a physical weapon. I feel like that's a weird thing, considering the weapon itself is not that strong of a weapon. I don't really feel like you'd be using this as a main weapon anyways. You're just going to be using this thing for its R abilities, unless this is all you have for him. Next, we come to the Scimitar. Sorry, I thought it was down lower. This is the Scimitar. So this is one you want to pair with the Rocket Lance, or what the later effect is here. But if you do manage to get it, it increases P attack to a single ally, M attack to a single ally, both mid to mid. Ice damage is increased to that same ally, mid to mid. Magic heal is cast 9%. The magic heal is just a quick little chip in. You're not really going to be using this thing to heal a lot. If you do max it though, P attack goes from mid to high, M attack is mid to high, ice damage is mid to high, which by the way it does that at OB6, so OB6 isn't a bad thing to get this to. Magic heal's gone up to 13%, has a heal of 31, which again, like I said, you probably want to offhand this thing with the Rocket Lance, so that's really going to put you at the 30% breakpoint. If you are main handing it, you're only at 45, so nothing crazy there. The buff debuff extensions, 52 points. So again, if you were main handing this, 180, but like I said, probably offhanding is the better option here, so just 120. Attack, P attack, M attack. This is another one where this makes sense because it's providing a buff to both P attack and M attack. You can kind of build this how you would want to. The stats are the same here, so I get this. This, in my opinion, makes sense for this kind of weapon. But again, I would not be main handing this. I would be pairing this up with that Rocket Lance with this in the offhand. Next, we have the Radiant Lance. Radiant Lance is just another physical damage weapon and increases command gauge 10%. So this one is not a bad thing, especially when you get into those battles where you have the debuff that goes off against you where it drops your command gauge down and you need to build it up quickly. This is a great thing for that. If you do happen to max it, the increase goes to 20%. We're at 750% physical non-elemental damage, boost attack of 31. Again, this is probably not something you're going to main hand. It'll probably be offhand. But if you were main handing it, 10% to both physical and magic attack. Offhanding it, you're at 7%. Boost ability potency, 52 points, so you're almost at that level 7, which would be 40% to both physical and magic damage when the command gauge is full, which pairs really well with that command gauge boost. But again, probably offhanding, so 22% to each. It's a decent weapon. Again, it's a situational weapon, but it's a decent weapon in those situations where you're needing to increase the command gauge. Great for that. Perfect example of this would be floor 32 of the Peridot Tower, where the red dragon, I think it's the stomps, can actually lower your command gauge. This can bring it right back up. The Viper Halberd. P-def is increased on, so this is just a self weapon by the way, is increased mid to high, just right away 5-star. P-def is increased mid to high on the second cast. M-def is increased mid to high and then provides a heal on self. This is just a self weapon. On its own, this part doesn't look great. What I'm more interested in this weapon is actually the R abilities, because when maxed, this is going to provide a huge boost to his PDEF and MDEF. Again, this is not going to be main-handed, probably this is going to be off. Provides straight magic attack boosts, which is weird because the magic attack is not the higher stat. But again, this is more what I'm looking at here. Your PDEF, again, 46 points. You're not going to be main-handing this. You're not going to be getting the 70%. You're going to be all the way down here at 30%. But again, 30% is still better than nothing. Something to keep in mind there. Your MDEF, again, if you're main-handing it, 60%. I highly doubt you are, so 30%. It's going to be giving you, again, 30% to both magic and physical defense, which, again, is not a bad thing if you're needing that kind of buff to your defenses. We then have the Partisan. This is one of his few actual elemental weapons at this point. So far, prior to this, we've had no elemental weapons. All of these are non-elemental attacks, whether they be physical or magic, or just buffs or debuffs. This is the first one we've gotten to where we actually have an elemental weapon, and that is the Partisan, and it does wind damage, magic wind damage to all allies. So if we look at, again, base 5-star, 280% magic wind damage. If we boost this thing up to OB10, that jumps up to 520% to, again, all enemies, magic wind damage. M attack is boosted by 31. If you're going up against a wind weak enemy, you're probably going to main hand this thing, so that's just going to get you 20% more magic attack. That stat's a little low, but the wind potency going up to 52 is going to get you that 70%. And then has a magic attack boost for S abilities all down the board. Now, what I would probably end up using this for is if I had pulled for, you know, Yuffie's magic wind equipment, or like I have Cloud's magic wind stuff, I would use this as an offhand thing for them to give them a little bit of magic attack boost, because when you look at their magic attack weapons, so if we go to Yuffie here, her bell, I mean, it already has a strong magic attack boost. This will help get it that rest of the way to where it needs to be. If you didn't get it to OB10, let's say you got it to OB6, I mean, you're 1 point away. That weapon's going to push you to that boost, or fully maxed magic attack. And then same thing for Cloud's Holiday Blade. You know, even at OB10, I mean, yeah, you got 46 magic attack, you're just missing 9. That Cid weapon's going to help boost this up and give you a stronger wind potency boost. So again, based off what Cid has right now, this isn't amazing for him, but it's a great weapon to put with your magic wind users. Regardless though, like I said, if you are using this for yourself, and he is main handing it, that 70% wind damage is going to be a nice little boost there. Next we have the Poleaxe, back to physical, non-elemental damage again. To all enemies, P attack is decreased mid to all enemies, M attack is decreased mid to all enemies. So great little debuff weapon here. If you end up maxing it, you are mid to high, so your second attack will knock those down to high. Has a huge HP boost of 62. Again, I really don't feel like this is something you're going to main hand, but if you were, you're getting 80% to your HP. If you are not, so what, that's going to be 31, so you're going to be getting 45% to your HP. Boost ability potency is just a small little push in there, main handing it 22% to each. If you're off handing it, only 8% to each. Because this is another weird one, so doing physical, non-elemental damage, but the magic attack honestly is really close to physical attack here. We have an attack boost, P attack, P attack. I feel like the stats on this one are really weird. S abilities I'm fine with, R abilities I'm fine with, it's just, this is kind of weird for this weapon. The Trident. So again, when you first get it, 390% physical, non-elemental damage. Again, we're still doing non-elemental damage. When your own HP is 70% or more, poison is applied to a single enemy for 24 seconds. Also on its first use, it hits stop. So the enemy can't do anything, and in theory is getting poisoned. However, the stop is only for 3 seconds. Alright, if we fully max it out, boost HP is 62, again another high boost. Again, I don't feel like it's something you're going to main hand. You'd probably be off-handing this one, possibly. But if you were main handing 80%, if you're off-handing 45%. Buff debuff extension, main handing 120%, if you're not 40%. Again, this one at least makes a little bit more sense. P attack down the board here, and it definitely has a higher P attack than the M attack. Would like to have seen this a little bit higher, but at least it makes sense. And again, at full max, you're only at 5 seconds for your stop. Your poison's at 30 seconds. Almost to the end here, we have the Slash Lance. Slash Lance is a physical non-elemental damage to all enemies, increases P-Def to all allies mid to high. Grants a boost attack of 31. Again, I would probably offhand this, but if you weren't, 10% to each. If you are offhanding it, you're getting 7% to each, so you really aren't losing that much. The buff debuff extension is at 52 points, so main handing 180%, if you're offhanding 120. That's going to last for 20 seconds for that P-Def increased high to high. P attack down the board, which is good because it does P attack here. And again, we have a much bigger difference between the P attack and M attack, which makes sense for a physical weapon. And then finally, we have the spear. This is the weapon that he was released with. We got free copies of it. At base 5-star, 400% physical non-elemental damage, provides stop for 3 seconds. If you do max this thing, it goes up to 750%. The stop lasts for 8 seconds. It provides a boost of P attack for 62 points, which if this is your only weapon for him, if you're main handing it, you are fully maxed out, which again, I don't know how you would have this be your only weapon and it be OB10, but it would give you, again, the full 50% to physical attack, or if you're offhanding, you're going to be sitting at 31, so 20% to your physical attack. But again, that's a huge chunk when you think about the fact that could take you up to level 4 of 7, even if you combine this in your offhand, or you give it to somebody else to use, because it also provides a boost ability potency. Not as good as physical attack potency, but boost ability potency. 26% if you're, or 26 points if you're main handing it, 22% to each. If you're off handing it, you're only at 8%. Provides P attack boost to all support abilities and has a high P attack. So with what we've been released with so far for Cid, he is definitely a buff debuff character. Not really doing much in the realm of DPS. He has the one elemental weapon for wind. Like I said, right now with his gear and his kit set up as is, it's going to be better as an offhand weapon for another wind user, preferably magic wind user. So I said currently set up as a buff debuffer. That stop is kind of an interesting effect where he can pause the enemy's actions for just even a split second. And then the enfeeble on his rocket lance is a huge boon. Right now I can really only see him being used in a ice weak battle where you can lower the ice resistance, and that would be rolling in with, again, rocket lance, where you can then lower the ice resist. You know, he could take the place of Yuffie, who would be doing that, or Red 13, because this enfeeble is going to be a huge thing, because yeah, you know, you may only have this at 5-star, but it's already going to hit at a high rate. If you've got somebody else who's throwing down that P-Def down or M-Def down with one of the things that they're doing, again, if it's at high, now it's at very high. You know, if you were to bring Tifa into this and you have her blue daffodil weapon, let's say you're, again, going up against Ice Week, you've got her blue daffodil gloves, which, if you don't know what those are doing, provides that exploit weakness, which exploit weakness will allow you at base 5-star to do 25% extra damage to if you're hitting their weakness. If you do have it at OB10, 40% extra damage to their weakness. You mix that together with her Ice Arcanum outfit, or the the new, or kind of like quasi-Arcanum all-elemental outfit, and you mix that with her Holy Flame gloves where she's doing all this physical damage. I mean, if you had this at OB10, 800% physical ice damage. I mean, she's already got a huge boost to P attack, ice potency. If you were to hit with Enfeeble down, with her having the exploit weakness on, and you mix in Cids' Scimitar, which is also providing the ice damage increase mid to mid if you had it fully maxed mid to high. You know, if you were to do all that and pop all that off, I mean, and you mix that also with her ultimate weapon, Tifa's ultimate weapon, I mean, you could be doing some serious damage to whatever that ice weak monster is. You know, wonder how fast, you know, Ifrit could go down with something like that, or the max ice damage challenge. But right now he's definitely support. He's a buff debuffer, and that's kind of where it stops for him at this point. We'll see what we get in the future. He's a little, like I said, he's buff debuff, and I guess you could say controller with that stop. But even though all these weapons only allow him to do stop once, like I said, you do have the limit breaks, which allow him to, his third limit break allows him to provide stop every single time it's cast. But like I said, that effect lessens and lessens each time if it's on the same enemy. So he's a slight controller too. So I feel like, yeah, the Partisan's kind of the odd man out at this point, where it doesn't fit in with the rest of his kit. So this is definitely going to be an add-on for another character, unless all of a sudden we start seeing some more elemental stuff for him. He's just going to be a buff debuffer, and I hope he doesn't fall the way of like not Red 13, but Kate Sith, where, I mean, if you look, Kate Sith currently has one more weapon available to him outside of event weapons and things like that that we've gotten for free. And, you know, Kate Sith has kind of been forgotten about. You look at Zack. Zack's got 2 more weapons that weren't limited. And again, it's kind of just been forgotten about. So I'm hoping he doesn't go the way of some of those characters when it comes to stuff like that, where he releases with this really cool new effect, and then we just don't do anything with him. Vincent's kind of another one where, you know, he came in with this limit break boosting thing, and then we just didn't see much for him really, outside of limited banner stuff. Angeal, you know, Cid has just as many weapons as Angeal, excluding the one limited, so he's technically one less, but, you know, Angeal came in with this Veil and this Provoke, and then just kind of fell off the face of the earth. But he did have a few more elemental things. He had some earth resists and had a lightning weapon and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just kind of hoping that, you know, he's not forgotten about, and they do kind of do more to push his character either further into that buff debuff range, or again, kind of well-round him, as I really would like to see all the characters kind of well-rounded, where it's not just it's a fire battle, I have to use this character, where you can just start using your favorite characters. You know, they all have each elemental, you know, attack or arcanum eventually. They all have the ability to heal or whatever, and you can make your party what you want it to be with your favorite characters. I would love to see the game kind of go that route. But yeah, that's kind of the look at Cid for right now. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Cid in his current state. Do you find him to be extremely useful? Do you think we're going to need to see more before we're really going to start incorporating him into our builds? You know, what do you think about my thoughts on the ice build, where, you know, you go up against the ice weak, you know, you have Tifa with exploit weakness, him with enfeeble, and the ice resist down, and the ice boost, or ice power up, and all that kind of stuff. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Drop that all down in the comments, guys. Again, if you do like what you see, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, it'd be much appreciated, help to grow the channel. So we're going to call it here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.